cheers to margaritas and outdoor adventures. Today we're talking about Tempe, Arizona.
Welcome to Vacation Mavens, a family travel podcast with ideas for your next vacation and tips to get you out the door. Here are your hosts, Kim from Stuffed Suitcase and Tamara from We Three Travel.
Well, this episode, we're going to be talking all about Tempe, and we partnered with them to create this podcast and as well as some blog posts, and we thank them for supporting our work, and we're actually really excited to talk to you about this destination.
So, Tamara, we just got back from another little girls' trip. We've had a lot of them all of a sudden. You know, we went a long time without any, and then now all of a sudden we've had two back-to-back. But this time we spent 4 days in Tempe, Arizona. And I thought we could start off by telling our listeners a little bit about where Tempe is, kind of, to get them an idea.
Yeah, definitely. Well, to me, anytime that I get to hang out with you in the sunshine, I'm happy about. So definitely. We can keep planning these girls' trip getaways. Yeah. They're fine with me.
Sign me up.
Yeah. And you had been to Tempe before. I think the last time I was in Tempe, it was like 20 years ago or more. So my impression of Tempe was just that it was a suburb of Phoenix, but it's really its own city in its own right, don't you think?
I absolutely agree. I think the big part of that is the fact that, and you're really accustomed to this, but it is a college town. And I think whenever you kind of bring a college town into a nearby larger city, that city itself kind of becomes has its own flavor and profile that's different than the main, neighboring city.
Yeah, what impressed me about Tempe is how easy it is to get there, though. I think, you can always find pretty good flight deals to Phoenix. And then it's really like an 8 to 12 minute Uber ride or so from the airport to Tempe, because it's really kind of right on that path to the airport.
Right.
And then you could also take that train, which we ended up not doing, but it's such a great deal. There's a light rail train that goes right from the airport SkyTrain to downtown. And what was it, like $2? So $2, for college students or anyone visiting on a budget, it's such a good deal.
And it looked like it was pretty easily accessible and everything. And there was lots of signs in the airport, so it didn't seem like it would be a difficult thing. Definitely convenient.
I feel like it depends on what you want to do when you're there. Like, I know there are many times where we felt like we could have had a car, but if you really just wanted to kind of hang out in downtown, do a little shopping, lots of eating, some drinking, sitting by the pool, walking around, that kind of thing. If you were hanging out in downtown, you really didn't need a car, and that is a nice kind of little car-free getaway. It's another expense to avoid, especially right now with how expensive rental cars are. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we even, when we went to Tempe Town Lake, we were staying in the heart of kind of the downtown Tempe area, and it was not an issue at all to walk there. And we did the kayak rental and all that, and it's near a big park where they're actually hosted the Ironman. So yeah, I think that it's definitely one of those destinations that you can have car free, but if you like to explore beyond just Tempe, or if you're going to be there a little longer, then a car would be convenient to explore some of the neighboring towns.
Yeah, I was kind of impressed by how many big events are coming to that Tempe area. I mean, when we were there, they were actively setting up for the Ironman, but we also heard that in a couple of years, the Super Bowl is going to be nearby.
Yeah.
So you see like a lot of construction around Tempe, definitely building up the hotel inventory, and that is kind of changing. I imagine making it so much easier for people visiting the college campus too, to find much more like upscale properties now.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see that they have we got to tour the new Westin, and they have a new Omni coming, and they're definitely adding lots of rooms. So that's great. And I know that's helpful for spring training as well. So a lot of people know Tempe is one of the towns, around Phoenix that gets their spring training. They have a baseball team there. So it's another thing that attracts people in, late February, March.
So many reasons to get out of the cold and into the sunshine. So we should definitely talk about some of the things to do, because I found it to be like an active city. It's like a great place to go where you want that mix of like pool time. I think people kind of think of other places around Phoenix as like just go and sit by the pool and go to the spa. But I feel like Tempe was a little bit more of an active town.
I agree. I think that, everyone thinks Scottsdale, and Scottsdale's definitely like the pools and the spas and that sort of thing. But I think with Tempe being a college town, you can tell it is really tailored towards that younger demographic. And I totally agree that there was outdoor stuff, and we'll get talking about some of the great food we had. But I think the outdoor adventures were definitely something to, mention. I still remember our little sunrise hike. I know that was something we did on our second morning or whatever, but I just loved that. There's a really popular mountain in Tempe. It's called, I can't remember the Butte. What is it?
It's Hayden Butte, but they call it A Mountain.
They call it A Mountain, yeah. Because it has this big A on there, and it's kind of a joke because I guess there's an A at in Tucson as well, where the University of Arizona is. So there's like a rivalry of trying to paint it the opposing team's color, since they both have quote unquote A mountains. But yeah, it was kind of a nice little hike that we did, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, steep, so I'm not usually a morning person, as you guys probably know. Kim definitely knows, but I always felt like it was worth it to get up there for a good view. And so luckily right now at this time of year, sunrise isn't super early. So there was like a 7:00 sunrise. So we went out at like 6:30 or so, and we hiked up, and there were quite a few people, going up, with the sun coming up, it was easy enough to find our way, but it was steep. It's not a long hike at all. It takes like, 15 minutes or so, but you're bent over and you're pushing through. It's definitely like steep and a little bit of like loose rock to watch out for as you're getting towards the top part. Yeah. But the views when you get up there is just absolutely spectacular. We lucked out with such a great morning, but coming up, you could see the light reflecting on a lot of like the glass buildings downtown. Then when you get to the top, you just see those sweeping views and the clouds. It was gorgeous.
When you see the mountains in the distance, and then the river, or I guess it looks like a river, but it's Tempe Town Lake, but it's kind of shaped like a river. It's interesting, but it's running along there, and the water, the color of the sunrise is reflecting off the water. And that was definitely an excellent thing to do. And I loved how close it was to so we stayed in downtown Tempe at the Mission Palms, Tempe Mission Palms Hotel. And it's literally, we were able to walk straight out of our hotel, like Tamara said, and kind of get to a path and go right up the mountain. So it was definitely a good thing to do. So
yeah, I think anywhere you're staying downtown is pretty convenient, but with us, it was like really out the back parking lot. Yeah. There you are.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. So what other adventures that we did in Tempe did you like? Because that's the one that stands out in my mind, but I know there's a few others that stand out too.
I kind of liked kayaking on Tempe Town Lake. I mean, you kind of alluded to the fact that it's called Tempe Town Lake, but it does appear more like a river. And so there are a number of bridges that cross over from one side to the other. And we picked up our kayaks. It was at a little kiosk from Boat Rentals of America, right down in the Tempe Town Lake Park, which was just maybe a 5-minute walk from our hotel. Yeah. Yep. And they did a bunch of things. They had like these little circular party boat kind of things. They have those
pedal boats, swan pedal boats that are shaped like swans. Yeah.
Right. And they had stand-up paddle boards, the kayaks, and they even had like the Surrey bikes if you wanted to do that along the path that goes along the lake. But we did the kayaks, and I just expected to kind of go out there and have it be like in kind of an urban setting. It felt like a little bit more like a river than a wide, lake. It's surrounded on both sides by, buildings and walking paths and, things like that. So it's not like you're out there, in the middle of the desert or something, which would be surprising with a lake. But what surprised me is that we saw so much wildlife.
Wildlife, yes. I was shocked by that. Like the amount of birds and stuff that were there. I was amazed. Yeah, I agree.
I'm terrible at naming them, of course, but it was still like, there were a lot of, I don't know, cormorants or cranes. There's different white birds.
I'm not what is an ornithologist, or is that what they are? Ornithologists? So I would
the not next know. Day we both did spy a blue heron. So that we can identify. Those are pretty easy, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is one I know.
But it was cool, like just to kind of, be kayaking along and see them kind of swooping by. I kept trying to get some good video, but they were a little too far in the distance. But
as you talk about kayaking and them swooping by, that was the other thing that really stood out to me that I loved is all the plane watching. So if you love airplanes or, you're going out in a boat or something with kids and they like airplanes, it's really neat how that the Tempe Town Lake kind of sits in between two of the approaches for the runways for Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport. And so you see airplanes coming in on both sides of the, lake, quote unquote, river and going into land. And I had a lot of fun going, okay, oh, that's a Delta. Oh, that's an American, and trying to name all the airplanes. So that was another thing that was kind of fun. And it wasn't too annoying noise wise. So it didn't bother me or anything, but I found it really fun to do some plane watching.
Yeah, I was only good at the very brightly colored Southwest because they stand out.
Southwest was noticeable. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I agree. I thought that was really nice. And I could see that arranging for a rental there at sunset would also be really, really beautiful because I think the colors on, in the Southwest, the weather's so nice. And I think the colors at sunset are just really, really beautiful.
Yeah, and if you had one, if you were there with a bigger group and you wanted to do one of those little, party boats, I don't know exactly how they work. I think everybody pedals a little bit, but it looked, fun. It wasn't like a tiki; it's more like a giant tube, that everyone's kind of sitting
exactly.
on. You know what it reminds me of? Those water rides, like the rapids rides, where you spin around. And
it is.
Gets wet.
It is a bit like that. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But I thought it was plugged in, so I was thinking maybe they had a little electric motor that people kind of could drive it around. So
yeah,
I don't know, but. Yeah, and I think another thing that we did on the lake that we did on another day was actually enjoying, like you had mentioned, there is kind of a long path that goes along both sides of the lake. And so we met up on the other side of the lake and went to North Shore Water Sport Rentals that are near these brand new, really nice villa apartments. And we rented e-bikes, which I absolutely love e-bikes because I love how fast you can explore the city. And those hills, when they come, you're just like, it saves my legs. So I really loved that.
Yeah, it took me a minute to get the hang of it. And I was like, wow, we're starting up a hill and I'm, they're heavier. So of course I'm going slower and trying to get my balance, when you're starting up a hill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is she just going? And then you're like, oh, you just hit the throttle. And I'm like, oh, it's so much easier. So yeah, it took me a minute to figure out how it worked and get it on the right setting and speed for me. So I wasn't zooming, giving myself whiplash every time it kicked in.
Yeah.
But definitely so much easier, a lot of fun. I could see if I was a bike commuter, which actually Tempe, what was it? They're a gold standard kind of bike community, but I think 218 miles of bike paths or bike lanes throughout the city.
Yeah.
We even heard about one community that's going to be car free, so they're definitely trying to push that when it comes to, just environmental impact and traffic and all that. Cause it's a growing city. We saw a lot of businesses there that were headquartered there. You can see for young adults, especially, new college graduates getting a job, staying, wanting to kind of keep in that urban center. It's growing. So I think, bikes is a great way to manage the traffic.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
and all the public transportation that they have.
Yeah. I don't, like we said, that light rail, I thought that was great. And we saw a lot of buses and stuff. And then, the bikes you could tell how common they were because even when we were going around town, it seemed like everywhere we went, there was bike, station, lockup stations. I don't know what you call it, racks.
Yeah.
Bike racks and stuff. So you can tell it's quite a popular activity or transportation choice. So I thought that was pretty nice. I could definitely, and with the weather being so awesome all year round, I mean, I'm sure in the summer you maybe don't want to bike as much outdoors, but it seems like the perfect kind of environment to be a biker in.
Then you want the e-bike where you can go, quickly.
Go fast. Yeah. Have a little breeze. Yeah.
And then we saw those scooters too, those, I can't remember which brand it was. It was Lime or something else.
Or whichever ones, yeah.
Yeah, but you rent them, by the hour and then just kind of drop them. Those are pretty common in any college town, and we definitely saw them, being used when we kind of went through campus because we did, bike or walk through campus just to get a sense of it. And of course, it started off great, and then we were there right in between classes. Switching, so it was a little crowded. But
I have never felt so old in my life, actually. Well, it was I always consider myself young, but yeah.
Well, especially as we look around and all you can say is that's going to be our daughters next year. And I'm like, stop.
I know. I just couldn't believe it. I'm thinking, wow, how can we believe it? Our daughters don't seem like they belong here, but they will soon.
They better, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was definitely, fun. So I feel like there's a lot of fun ways to get active, in Tempe, which is nice because I think you and I, the girls' trips that we go on, I mean, look, we both love a good spa. We love a nice relaxing time at the pool, but we kind of like to do something, feel like we saw a place, get active a little bit, work off some of those, nachos and things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. I think it was good. And we did get some downtime and we had some time to relax. We did do a little bit of kind of shopping stops. We went to that Tempe Marketplace shopping district, which you and I, at first we were like, oh, okay, it seems like some of the same big box stores, but then we got a little further deeper into it. And there's that whole cool, entertainment district where we had lunch. And so that was kind of a fun place for girls, I think, like on a girls trip that you could hang out, or guys too, if they want to. It looked like a nice, popular place to kind of walk around. And they did have, I noticed, like a nail salon and everything. So if you wanted to get pedicures and then eat some food and do some shopping, it seems like the perfect place.
Yeah, and a cool outdoor environment. It seemed like maybe they definitely have a stage where they do like music and other events.
Yeah.
But then that one area seemed like maybe they do some outdoor movies. They had kind of the Edison string lights, between certain areas. So definitely to give it like some atmosphere and ambiance. And yeah, it was just cool. Like so many interesting places to eat and not all chains, which was nice.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah. And then we, so that was the shopping. And then we kind of wandered around downtown because they have some cute little shops there and we checked out some murals. But I think also we should mention our relaxing time of being at the pools because we got 2 kind of pool experiences, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, at where we were staying, they had a pretty large, not huge, but like a nice size pool. And that's like, it's rooftop, but it's only like second floor, right? So at the Tempe Mission Palms. But they had a couple of hot tubs and it was just a nice view of A Mountain. So just like a nice, relaxing place to hang out.
Yeah. That's what I loved. I think it's just really cool to have the mountain there in the background. And that was nice. And I think they have, of course, drinks they can get you there and everything. So you can make it a relaxing time. We didn't have any issues while we were there finding lounge chairs and everything. So
yeah, that was nice. Of course, we were there. There was like a corporate event. So everyone was in their meetings while we got to actually play, which is nice. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we checked out the Westin. You had mentioned the new Westin Tempe, which is 3 months old, I think, at the time.
Yeah, I think they said 3.
Really gorgeous property. And they've done a lot to kind of integrate the look of the natural atmosphere around. Trying to bring in some of those desert textures and colors and things. But on their top floor, I think it was like the 18th floor, they have a small pool, which is just for guests. But luckily, they let us use it for a little bit. But they also have like a sky lounge up there, a bar that will be open for everyone. And so that was really beautiful views because you're so much higher. So you are higher. The city and the Superstition Mountains in the background and the Buttes and the A Mountain, kind of see it all.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was amazing. And that hotel is beautiful. I love that they have some local native artists that they've brought in works, to decorate the hotel with. And they've tried to use a lot of the local, like you said, kind of environment to arrange things. And, the decor is supposed to represent stuff. But that corner room we checked out that had like the double windows, it just had so much light and it was so bright. And then that bathroom, it was like all marble and it was huge.
Yeah, very fresh, very new, but like light and just the kind of the right type of modern, I think that you're looking for, that people strive for right now.
Yeah, I do wonder. I thought the pool, it was beautiful and everything around it was beautiful. I wonder how busy it gets. I don't know enough about Westin demographic to know, if they get a lot of families or not, but it was just beautiful up there. I thought that was the perfect place to kind of enjoy a late evening, relax around the pool and then go ahead and grab a drink while you're up there.
I was kind of thinking if you were there to visit like your kid that was in college, it would be cool to like bring them back and like have them have a chance to hang out at the rooftop pool too.
Yeah. Well, and we also, should mention it kind of clouded over for us, but it's a beautiful place to capture sunset. I mean, it's one of the best lookouts over the city if you want a really pretty place for sunset.
And I know that we didn't get to see it because they were doing a little bit of renovation or something. Something happened with the day that we were there. But there's a Canopy by Hilton as well that also has a rooftop pool and bar. So that's like another one to check out.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the thing. Tempe, if you guys are planning, like girls trip or even a family getaway, because I really could see with older kids who like kind of outdoor adventure-y things, if you're that kind of family, it'd be a really easy trip with them because it's, I think the parking's not an issue. Everything's pretty open and spread out. And so if you want to rent a car and flying in and out of Phoenix is pretty easy. So definitely a great destination.
How nice is spring break, right? If you did a little bit of spring training baseball. You did some e-biking or kayaking, and then you did some of these other things, but then maybe you also took some time to explore the area, which was one of the things that we got to do. We had a bit of an extra day, and so we went and we rented a car just for that one day, and we went to the area of Mesa, which is, what did they call it? Western Valley?
That's a good question. I can't remember now.
Okay,
I thought she said Eastern Valley. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Me wondering.
So we rented a car just for one day, and we went out to Mesa, which is known for its Fresh Foodie Trail, which is something that I know you had seen parts of before, but this is my first time going into Mesa. And Mesa is an area that is huge, kind of driving.
Third largest, they said.
Yeah, that surprised me after Phoenix and Tucson. So it's a big area with a lot of kind of different neighborhoods. But if you wanted to explore it, a cool way to do it is with this Fresh Foodie Trail, because they have all these different stops that kind of showcase the local farms, the local agriculture. So our first stop was actually at a little place, which I couldn't even believe how crowded it was. I know we're going to talk about food later, but it was called Jalapeno Bucks, and it was just kind of like a roadside stand, but it was like set in a citrus grove, Arizona's largest citrus grove, which is kind of surprising that they have any, actually. And they make their own salsas, and they do barbecues. And the line was crazy. We got there at 11 early. And there was such a big line.
Yeah, I mean, that was early. So you can really tell it's one of those, I think it's definitely a local's favorite, but it's also the tourists like it. But it was awesome. And I think it just probably, they said it started with this woman who would make the salsas, and people would come to buy her salsas. And pretty soon it got so busy that her husband was like, okay, here, we're going to, build you this kind of, I don't know if it's like a barn or, like you said, kind of roadside food stop.
Yeah, like take out, eat at picnic tables.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. But whoever stepped up to do the barbecue did a great job of it, because we had a little taste of their brisket, and the brisket was really delicious.
Yeah, they have some really unique things. So they had us taste test the peanut butter and jelly brisket sandwich. So just so you know, we all braved it and tasted it. It was fine. I would probably get a normal brisket sandwich next time if I ordered myself. But if you're feeling adventurous and you like kind of funny foods, then that PB&J brisket sandwich is the way to go for you.
Whenever I hear that, all I can think is that song is like peanut butter jelly time.
Yeah.
I told Glenn about that because, he's like the smoker barbecue guy.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, but the brisket was really good. And there was absolutely nothing wrong with the PB&J.
No, there was nothing. It's just not my flavor profile. Yeah. But that sweet green salsa, I felt like I could just drink that, like with a spoon. And the tortilla chips, I was just, you had the mango salsa because we had tried the sweet green and then you had the mango. And I'm not a big fruit salsa fan, but that sweet green for me was definitely worth going back for.
Yeah, I thought they were both great. It's amazing. Like I will always gravitate towards green salsa over, red, but I do like the fruit ones too. So I think there was probably like 8 different ones to choose from. But of course, we had actually just had breakfast, so we weren't having all that much. But it was definitely a cute stop, like a lot of personality there. It reminded me of the places that you see like outside of Austin or something like that, where people like line up and it's kind of just this little place, but it's super popular.
And I think one of the other things we did while we were in Mesa that kind of was an activity aspect of it was we did do a olive mill or olive oil. I don't know if you'd really call it, I guess, an olive oil tour. But because of, they were in the middle of production, the tour was kind of just sitting and listening to a presentation and doing a little bit of taste testing. And then we had some more food there, but it's the Queen Creek Olive Mill. And I've been there actually one other time, and it's quite amazing what they do and all the olives they grow there and how they turn it into these olive oils. And then they've got, of course, soaps and all of that as well. And it was yummy. I've learned to love flavored olive oils and balsamics. And so I liked that. I was glad you asked them to bring us out some taste testing, but that jalapeno one, it was strong.
That was spicy.
Yeah.
You only need a drop of that. Yeah, I found it really fascinating. I mean, just also that someone kind of realized that olive trees can do really well in Arizona. It's like the same latitude as a lot of the Mediterranean,
Italy
and Morocco, where a lot of other olive oils come from. But because it's so dry, you don't have some of the bug issues that might infect and get into some of the places in like, Greece or in Italy or Spain or Portugal. So I found that really fascinating. They're doing a great job with it. And the olive oils were great, but they've really turned it into a destination. And again, we were there on a Wednesday in November. And the place was super busy. Like tons of people just eating outside, because what they have is you can do these tours, but then you can also there's a shop, there's a restaurant, so you can just, order.
They have food and ice cream, I think.
Yeah, all kinds of things,
too,
enjoy a picnic. I don't know if they have wine. I imagine that they would sell wine there too, but I'm not sure.
Pretty sure, yeah.
But just like to enjoy, a nice afternoon outside. I guess that's why November was.
Yeah, that's
But a lot of it was shaded, as well. And it was just like a really nice setting. They had a bocce court. It was just like a really pretty, like eating in the olive grove. We had some great like bruschetta boards and a charcuterie.
The flatbread pizza. That was delicious. The pizza was amazing.
So of course everything like is using their olive oil, but then even like their desserts are using like their chocolate olive oil. And so I would definitely recommend, making a drive out there is something interesting to do. If it's that agritourism thing, but that to me really gives you more of a sense of that community and where you are. And just kind of driving out there too, you could see how it was like really getting built up, but there was still a lot of space.
Yeah, my goodness. It was building up so much. Like there are so many new houses, being built around that area. But Mesa, you can see that its heart, it still was very much the agricultural area of the Phoenix region. So it's neat that they have this Fresh Foodie Trail to kind of get you to experience some of those local farms and keep their roots in that agriculture. So I think it's great that they're doing that. And it made me really want to throw out my green plastic Costco-sized olive oil bottle and make sure I'm buying a little more quality olive oil from now on.
Well, I came home and we like to get decent olive oil, I think, but then we pour some of it into this glass, bottle, which has like a little pourer. And that's what and I keep it by the stove because that's what I'll use. Like when I want to just, saute something or whatever, just add a little bit of olive oil to something. And so I was like, Glenn, so I've learned it's not supposed to be stored in sunlight or near heat or in a clear bottle.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be airtight. Like you're supposed to keep it. Yeah.
And only for like 12 to 15 months. So I'm like, we're doing it all wrong.
Yeah. So. Yeah. We keep ours in our Lazy Susan that's near the stove. So that part we have right, but we just need to make sure we're buying good quality. I mean, we always buy, it says extra virgin olive oil, but I don't know. It's Costco size. I don't know if we go through it in 12 to 15 months. So probably something to consider.
Well, a couple other interesting spots in Mesa. I mean, one of them, if you did want to kind of break up your trip and do like a little bit of town and country, there is a farm out there that actually has a whole little section of renovated Airstream trailers that they use for glamping. Yeah. So I don't know how to pronounce it, but Schnepf Farms.
I know. It always makes me think of the office. I'm like, it's not the office. It's not Schrute Farms or whatever. But it's Schnepf Farms, I'm guessing.
So it's on a peach orchard. And so they call it the Cozy Peach Glamping.
It's kind of like this passion project because it sounds like the people who had the farms, the wife is just really into kind of renovating these Airstream trailers. And so it just sort of started as a passion project, I think. And they've just kind of run with it.
And they're all unique, so you can go online and like see which one you
has
like
the
style of. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of neat. And it seems like they do a lot of events out there on the farm too, like each kind of season or holiday, they got stuff going on. So that's another thing on the Fresh Foodie Trail to check out. And then we went down to Downtown Mesa, which seems like it's going to be a really hopping place soon in terms of like cideries, breweries, game rooms, arcade lounges, stuff like that. A lot of new breweries and things are coming to town, but we actually got to try, I knew you would like a cider place. So we went to Cider Corpse.
I loved that stop. Yeah. I loved it. And I was also really thankful you were driving so that I could extra indulge on my cider tasting. That was, I loved it there. And I loved that you tuned in right away because I walked in and it's got very American-esque, decor and things like that. And then I was looking at the pulls on the ciders and they're like grenades and, a knife or a dagger or something. And it was really interesting. And Tamara immediately was like, oh, I wonder if it's veteran owned. And sure enough.
Yeah, so everything had that military theme to it, from the decor to the names of the ciders. Even the flight that we ordered came out in, like this.
It was like an armory. It was like ammo box, like a metal ammo box that they drilled the little holes to fit the cups in. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a really great story, like a backstory with the owner and everything. So I felt, you always want to support veteran-owned businesses if you can. And so it makes me so happy when you see, someone that's doing something so cool and interesting and get to support it. And the ciders were delicious. Yeah.
And they're also, I love that they're also trying to feed back, and they're giving, like, there's a guy there that does pizzas. And so they're giving him space in their space to try and help him get to be more productive. And so they're trying to feed back and help these, like individual business owner startups get their foot in the door as well. So I think that's really awesome. And they're about ready to move to just down the street, barely, just kind of on another corner, on the main drag a little bit. So they're going to be moving and opening up more. But I think that if you are in the Mesa, Phoenix, Tempe, Arizona area, definitely look up Cider Corps, because they, I think, are a great business to support. And the other thing that was kind of neat about our stop there for ciders is right on that it's right near the main street, where there's actually two really cool murals. And one of them is by, I think it's Kylie Montag. It's the lady who did the famous Nashville wings, and she did some wings for Mesa. And it's got, of course, just like what she does, is the butterfly wings have kind of themed images in them that kind of represent the city. And then just slightly more down the street on the other side is a big Mesa mural that just is beautiful colors. So I thought that was kind of a nice little stop in downtown Mesa.
Yeah. And also, as we were walking along that main street in downtown, I saw like a one or two cute boutiques and like a really nice coffee shop. So it seems like a nice, if you wanted to spend a little bit of time in Mesa, they have a new hotel, I think, coming as well. So all this area is kind of expanding. So yeah. Well, we've kind of hinted at some of the good food that we had when we were in Tempe, but I think a highlight about Tempe is, like, not only is the food good, but there's just such a great variety that you can walk to, or at least, short Uber ride, if anything. I definitely enjoyed, like, the food scene, and I'm not usually one to eat a lot of breakfast, but wow, they have some great breakfast places.
Agreed. Yeah, I think the food scene in Tempe is amazing, and it's awesome. And I loved that aspect. I'm glad that it's kind of nice when you're on a press trip, because it was no issue. It's like, okay, we're eating 3 meals today at really nice places, so let's just go for it. So I really loved it.
Well, we started off like probably, well, I guess I was going to use a pun, but we started off at the top because we went to the top of the rock at the Buttes, which is a very nice, it's a Marriott property now.
Yep.
But it's like a nice, more upscale resort property just outside of downtown Tempe. And they have this restaurant called Top of the Rock, and it has these beautiful views of the city. So if you can go there and it's like a nice weather outside, I would definitely recommend trying to book a table on the terrace if you could. Yep. But the food was great.
It's cool
definitely
that it's
high-end dining.
Definitely high end, and it was really neat how they had, the interior is this rounded kind of building. It's circular, so it is kind of a unique place to sit inside, but they do have that small terrace. So if you are able to eat outdoors, it's really beautiful and kind of a pretty city, especially at night. You see all the city lights down below, and it's nice.
So we mentioned breakfast. Did you have a favorite breakfast?
I'm trying to think of the ones. I think my favorite one was actually at Snooze, and I loved my little hash brown egg, mix scramble thing that I had. It was delicious. So I can't even remember what it was called now, but I loved Snooze. And I love, I think this is one other thing we should mention. We've already mentioned that Tempe's home to Arizona State University. So it's a college town. And I loved that Snooze is near the college. We've eaten at a couple of other places that are right there near college campus. So it's really cool if you're going to do any college visits, or if you're just, wanting to understand how this is all laid out. It's pretty close, and I love that. So Snooze was probably my favorite, but I like
Snooze. Like, all of these were no more than a 5 to 10 minute walk from our hotel. So that was good.
Yeah. So what about you? Did you have something that stands out in your mind?
I actually really loved Snooze also because I thought the decor was super cute. It's like very like retro diner, which also we went to another one called Morning Squeeze, which had a little bit of that feel too.
Yeah.
But I loved that it had some really unique things on the menu.
Yes.
So I had something that was like a sausage pot pie or something. It was like a take on like sausage and gravy, but in a more of a pot pie format,
like a puff pastry,
deconstructed pot pie. So it was just like unique and different. But I probably most enjoyed my breakfast at the Daily Jam because they are famous for their waffles. And I had red velvet waffles with like the cream cheese like topping.
Yeah.
And those were super yummy, like very fluffy, but like just the right amount of crispness.
I liked the crispiness. Yeah. Yeah. I had those chocolate chip ones and I loved that there.
And of course, the last day when we ate at the Morning Squeeze, I knew we were going to have a big eating day, so I didn't want to go for a big breakfast. And I just had like a light avocado toast, but I was kind of eyeing up like your bacon and your like hash brown potatoes because they looked like perfectly cooked.
Those potatoes were yummy. They were the kind of the skillet potatoes, so they weren't the traditional hash browns like a snooze. It was the traditional shredded hash browns, but at Morning Squeeze, it was those breakfast potatoes, and they were seasoned just right and really crispy. And oh my gosh, they were so good. Now I'm like, my mouth is legit watering right now thinking about it. So I need to go back to Tempe and eat more food.
I know. But then it's like, oh, I can't go having those kind of big breakfasts every day. I need to, I look at my health app and I'm like, okay, so at least those couple days I walked, for, it's like 5 point something miles, usually when I'm at home, unless I'm meeting a friend, it's, more like 3. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, what about lunch? We had some good lunches too. Did you have a favorite there?
I think the Postino Annex was my favorite. And I don't want to admit that maybe one of the things I liked so much is the $5 wines before 5. Like any glass of wine you can get for $5. But the salad that I had was just delicious. And the patio is nice. Again, it's right next door to Snooze, which is right across from the ASU campus. But yeah, I thought that one stands out to me. Everything we ate, I don't think there was a single place that I didn't enjoy. But Postino Annex is the one that stands out in my head. What about you?
I'm pretty sure that wine had something to do with it. Yeah. It was a cool atmosphere too, though, because like we ate outside. They had a really nice patio, and the servers were just amazing, like so friendly, like super nice. But I loved the fact that they had, just more of those picky things, because I kind of like to eat like that. And so I just had like a bruschetta board. So it had just like 4 different types. So I could pick it and choose and see like which one I liked best. So I feel like that's a great place to go like with somebody, have one of those longer lunches, enjoy the glass of wine, and, maybe share
your food. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
But I will say, like, food wise, I really, really liked Barrio Queen.
That was my other one that I was thinking about naming. Yep.
It was in Tempe Marketplace, so it's a little bit further out. You'd probably want a car or to figure out, like, if you're Ubering or something out there. Yep. But we enjoyed that whole, like, area. Like we talked about before, there's a lot of different options, and we kind of looked at some different menus. But this one, the decor was awesome. I mean, some really amazing. Cool murals, but like everything about the inside was just like, they even had these, because it has this, Southwest, Mexican theme to it, but they even like the light fixtures were like clear, like skulls. Like it sounds bad, but it was just like, it was really interesting and very cool.
Yeah. And I felt like it was, kind of that Southwestern decor and theme and feel, but without being kitschy. It was really authentic. Kind of really authentic and cool, like the art on the walls. And there was that whole like bottle, I don't know if it was glass sculpture, kind of collection on the wall. And yeah, it was nice. And I think, it's, whenever you say tableside guacamole, I think you're there. But I know the margaritas.
I especially love the pomegranates thrown on it. I'm like going to try that more often. The pomegranate seeds, I really liked that. But yeah, I enjoyed also that we could eat outside a lot, considering where I live and where you live, we're not getting to do a lot of that for a while here. So I'm taking full advantage of it, and it was not so too hot. It was just really nice to eat out on their patio, and the tacos, were delicious. It was like just perfect amount of food. I think we each got 2 tacos, no sides, so they were the nice little tacos you could pick, like, a unique flavor. So
and then we had the salsa and the guacamole. Yeah, they had, again, another margarita. That's the one thing. If you're there, definitely, I hope you like margaritas. And if you do, then indulge, because it's fun. They do margaritas well there.
Hey, look, I don't even like margaritas, and I found some really good drinks to have. So either way.
Yep.
Yeah, some spicy ones too, which I liked.
So we've talked about, breakfast, lunch. We talked about starting our day off at the fancy dinner at Top of the Rock, but let's talk about our evening meals. Anything stand out to you that really you loved for either food or atmosphere or anything?
Yeah, well, we had a mix of things, which made it nice because we had, the very high end. We had one other, which was, like a cute setting and, a little bit more upscale. Then we had a couple of more casual ones. I don't know, like atmosphere wise, like if you're in the mood to have some fun, then I would go to the Culinary Drop Out because, again, that would be a good one if you're going on a girls' trip with a group or if you're going with your family, because it's a really big space. So it is, kind of crowded, but we were put in an area which, didn't feel like in the middle of the hubbub or near the bar. And they have both ping pong tables and cornhole. So if you want to spend some time and just like have some fun, and then again have like what we did, which was like a bunch of little picky things, because that's how I love to eat. I felt like that was just like a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that atmosphere is amazing. The tables, not amazing, but it was just neat. You could tell that a lot of groups go there. They had kind of different like layouts of seating, like there was a couple of tables that like were couches, and it was just it was kind of a, I don't know, party in a warehouse or something. I don't know. Yeah. But it was cool.
What about you? What else stands out?
I really loved that we went to Ghost Ranch and we met up with our friend Tony. And so I thought that was nice. I loved my prickly pear margarita that I had there. Again, those margaritas, I feel like maybe people are going to think I have an issue. I'm always talking about the drinks, but anyways.
It's a girls' trip and we weren't driving.
Yeah, exactly. So that one was great. I liked that. We had that, it's kind of almost like a lasagna, like a Southwestern-y type lasagna that was recommended to us. And I thought that you could tell that was definitely a popular place. We went on a Monday night, and evidently on Tuesday nights it's kind of crazy because they have Taco Tuesday and some kind of real special that makes the place pretty busy. But it was another one we took an Uber there because it was a bit outside and on the outskirts of downtown. So definitely kind of a cool atmosphere though. And I guess it's really popular.
Yeah, I was going to say it's totally worth it if you have a car. If you don't, then you might want to pick one of the places closer in town. But I loved it. It's one of those places where I wish we had tried different things, but we both really wanted the same thing so much, I know. We can only mention that one dish, but it was good. Yeah. It was a good one.
Yeah. Well, and it was recommended to us. So it's like when someone recommends something, you're kind of like, well, that's what I'm going to get then.
Yeah, so I guess, if you didn't want to take an Uber, wanted to stay closer in town, one of the other places we tried was House of Tricks, which I guess you had been to before, which I felt bad because, I picked these things and then Kim was like, oh, I've been there before. I'm like, should have told me, but she liked going back.
It was good because I was just thinking differently then, and yeah, it was nice to be back. And House of Tricks, I would say, is also, the atmosphere there was really cool. I think it's a little more... I don't know. I'm trying to think price-wise. Do you think it was a little more upscale than than Culinary Drop Out and that, but it wasn't quite at the top of the rock yet. So,
but it was more of that kind of traditional menu, when it comes to fish and meat, duck, different entrees like that. I know you and I both opted for a salad because we had eaten a lot that day. My salad was fantastic, but I feel like it would be a good place to go on a date. Like if you were there as a romantic getaway, just because outside patio where we sat, had pretty lights and it just had kind of like romantic. A nice, it had like that nice kind of feel to it.
It kind of was garden-y feeling. So it wasn't just a traditional outdoor seating, concrete tables. It kind of had a garden, little nooks and yeah.
Because it's really the restaurant's really in a house, right? Yep. So you're in kind of their front yard and then the sides and things like that. Yep. So I like that. But I think, if you did want some more casual options, one of the places we were going to go to was Pedal House Brewery, which was a close distance. There were so many other options. Again, local places, there are some chains too, but lots of local places, which makes me happy.
Well, and they had told us about that crepe bar that I think is breakfast and lunch. I don't know if they do dinner, but they had sweet and savory crepes, and there's so many food options there. I think it's awesome.
Well, I know when we were there, quite a few people had reached out to me because they were planning on doing some college visits to ASU. So hopefully you'll be able to take some of these suggestions and use those for the college visits. It's certainly a lot of school spirit. The Sun Devil Stadium is right there. The campus is, very walkable, but very integrated to the rest of the town. So it definitely has a really cool, college campus vibe. And, I think that really a trip like this, it works for you think of college towns, you think, it's like a party town, but it's not that.
No.
You certainly have, such a mix of audiences.
I absolutely agree. And I think it's cool. The campus has, like those walk zones, and then you see a lot of people biking, and of course, skateboarding seem to be really, really big there. But I agree. I think that for, a lot of people might be going there. I think if you're going there for spring training, Tempe is a perfect, home base for that sort of thing. It's going to be easy to get around, to go to the other stadiums if you're going to some other games, but also, of course, college campus visits. But, girlfriend getaway, like what we did, it's so great. Like I said, we stayed at that Tempe Mission Palms, and I loved our rooms. We had those, they put us in junior suites, and the space was just amazing. So if you wanted to hang out with your girlfriends, sit on the bed and the couch and have some wine together at night, it's a great, great space for that. So I think for those kind of trips, even families, like I mentioned, it's a definite great destination.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look, to the Southwest, in the winter as a getaway, and they, like you mentioned before, kind of tend to think of Scottsdale because we've heard that the most, which can be like really pricey because it's a lot of really, really upscale resorts and things. And so this, has a bit of a different vibe, but it's, a nice, alternative to that. And especially now that they're building out even more hotel properties, I think you're going to see, some good pricing if there's not some big special event going on.
Yeah, so a big thanks again to Tempe for working with us on this project. We absolutely fell in love with the city, and we're happy to answer any questions if you guys have anything you want to ask us about Tempe. And if we don't know the answer, we have our contact that we're happy to reach out to them. But you can always get a hold of us at podcast@vacationmavens.com, or of course, always you can DM Tamara or I at our Instagram at We3Travel or at Stuff Suitcase.
And in the meantime, stay tuned because next week, or I should say next episode, we're going to be jumping back into our Portugal coverage, and our friend Katya is going to be joining us to talk about the Azores. And that's like a area I think a lot of people are really interested in, and you need to plan early. So make sure to tune into that one.
We will talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.